Thank you very much. So welcome everybody to this session. My name is Giel. I'm head of innovation and research at the KNVB. And as you just said, we try to be quite forward-thinking and leading in this space. And actually, with this session, you'll get 4 sessions in one, because we'll be introducing the KNVB innovation strategy a little bit at first, but we brought 3 of our main companies that we are innovating with and that we're collaborating with from our innovation hub. So I'm happy to introduce those to you, Sai Sports, Voon Sports, and Emotion. First of all, you probably all know the KNVB. You know, this is our moment of pride from 36 years ago. So in just some days almost, we'll have the next Euro starting, so we hope we can repeat winning a title in Germany. That's what we're aiming for. And I won't bother you too long with our strategic goals, which are on the right of this slide. You know, winning a major tournament, growing the number of fans and clubs, etc. But we also formulated some principles of play that are very important for us in the way that we actually do things. I circled the most important ones for our innovation strategy. That's that we want to be innovative and entrepreneurial, but we also focus a lot on digitalization. And I think we also distinguish ourselves in the way that we try to embrace innovation and try to come up with new ideas. And the way that we do this is through our innovation hub number 11. And actually I have a couple of football questions for you. So number 11 is of course a certain type of player. Is there anyone who played with this number? Nobody. Nobody. What type of player? Do you know any players that played with number 11? I'll just I'll come to you if you like. So number 11, yes. Romario. Very good. Very good. Other ones? Robben, Arjen Robben is, I think, maybe the most famous example from the Netherlands. So what type of player is a number 11? Any idea? Creative, strong. Where does he play in the pitch? Forward. What side? Left. So it's a left winger, right? So I think Romario is a good example. Arjen Robben as well. So main characteristics that we see as a number 11, it's a speedy player, you know, it's creative, they're goal-oriented, they're quite stubborn, you know, sometimes a bit, they're a team player, but the crazy guy in the team. And these are the type of characteristics that we feel fit with innovation and that we try to embrace also in our innovation hub. So number 11 is the creative left winger of the KNVB. And how we do that is that we founded this center about 6-7 years ago as a co-working space for companies that are active in innovation and football. And at the heart of this building, in the first building that we founded, is the VAR center that you see right behind me, which I think is a good example of innovation. Whether you like it or not, it's up to you. And in the second building, we have this room, which is the E-room, where we actually today have our official KNVB Cup, so the best amateur FIFA or EFC players compete with the professional players for winning the official KNVB Cup. But more importantly, for this innovation hub, we have a very broad network of partners, which now consists of over 40 companies and universities that all collaborate on innovation in football. And we actually just last month got awarded with the award for the best innovative ecosystem in the Netherlands, which is a nice prize for us, but I think just shows that we have a strong network that we built. So for now, enough about the KNVB and about our innovation hub, because what we'd like to do is to introduce 3 of our main companies that are part of the network to you, that all are developing exciting innovations and have done some cool stuff. And the first one that I'll introduce is a company named Sai Sports. We have somebody joining me on stage who is I can say, I think, a serial entrepreneur with several companies, but already active for quite a while in football and innovation, maybe on the performance tech side. So I please would like to welcome Vincent on stage. So Vincent, please have a seat. Yes. So Vincent, like I said, you're a CEO of Sci Sports now, already for quite some time. Can you tell something about the company?
Yeah, so thanks, Giel. Sci Sports is, I think we're out here for quite a while. We focus mainly on, well, we originated from the recruitment side. This is where we have a full database of 270,000 players. Giel likes to compare it to something like Booking.com, where you give in some filters and it will find your next player, your next signing. And next to that, we started with a, I would say, performance analysis, so match analysis tool, that really focus on data coming from the match, real-time or post-match. We try to translate that into insights for users. Could be coaches, analysts, but also media and entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the Booking.com for players. We have a rich history, not only for the top players, but also in grassroots football. You helped us develop something to organize more equal competitions. But what we'd like to focus on is something new, something nice that you have developed also in cooperation with the leagues and with us. Can you share what this new development is?
Yeah, thanks. So we're really excited about that. As some of you may know, there's various forms of data coming from a pitch during a match. And we're very happy to enter into collaboration with TradeCap, one of the leading providers of tracking data. Next to the tracking data, there's also event data and there's video. And basically I wouldn't say tool, but the new platform that we created is the way that we would like to visualize and analyze in a new format. So what we do, both live and post-match, is we take in those two streams of data and the video, and we generate focusing primarily on video analysts. We created a platform where you can visualize in 2D, but also in 3D, the actual game that is going on. Not yet, because that might be something we can do on a media and entertainment side, but really on the performance side, we are able to provide insights back to video analysts, coaches, during the match and post-match, and also in preparation for your next opponent, in a completely new way. And yeah, that is something we are proud of to be developing with the KNVB, and I think it's a really clear example of the benefits that we had being part of number 11, where we closely work together with the Dutch national team, and they have a huge input in basically what you see behind me. But also, if you go to the next slide, then you will see that we try to really marry the video, because that's still very important for everyone, for coaches, but also for the crowd, but for the video analysts as well. But then we can automatically translate that into 2D. And I just gave some examples where you see the 2D changing into 3D, where you can change the angle in every way you would like, including drawings, including all kinds of analysis, where you can export that to playlists. And the latest development is that not only do we get data pointing out where the players are, but TradeCap in this case is providing us with, as we call that, limb tracking. That means that we have 28 body points that we also push into that 3D animation, which gives a very unique but almost surreal way of presenting the game in a different format from any angle, where there's many possibilities still to find out.
So this looks exciting, and can you tell a little bit about what the feedback is you had from clubs and from users so far?
Yeah, so right now we're focusing really on the performance side, and I stipulate that because you do see that the 3D that we're creating is still one bridge too far still for a lot of people, because it's, the use case is not really there yet. So what we focus on is on the 2D, where we provide tooling to the video analysts, and they can incorporate that in their process. And the feedback so far is this saves me 2 to 4 hours every match, because the coach wants to have not only the video, but also the top view, replacing the old magnet board, right, where you shift them over. But now you have that at any moment, 90 minutes long, you will have the view on how that looks top down.
So I think when I speak to a lot of companies, it's quite a complicated market sometimes with a lot of different providers. So I have the feeling it's a big puzzle and many different companies have a part of the puzzle. Like, where do you fit in? What role do you play?
Yeah, we like to see ourselves as an integration partner. So we connect to 7 event data providers and 4 tracking data providers. And the whole idea is to bring those various streams together. That's by itself very hard. We always say SciSports doesn't know really football. We're not football experts, but we do know the tech behind it. And we would like to provide the best platform back to coaches, analysts, so that they can do their job in a very good way. So that's really the position more on the tech side where we are.
And now we see a rise of interest also from the media, from broadcasting companies in these type of data. What solutions or what applications do you see for them?
Yeah, I think that's the next big thing in media, where I think there's 2 avenues. One is really on the engagement side. So I think there are many use cases where we can use the data to really engage, where the 3D now is only a way of a different view on the game, right? It's not really engaging. And you can think of gamification, so you can predict where players will run, these kinds of applications. But if you look to the 3D side, and especially with the body pose and the limb data, yeah, I think it's very close by that we can hand you a virtual reality glasses wherever you are, and you will be real time in the game, just seeing the players pass by, or be Messi, or be whoever you want to be.
So how do you see this going to the future? Because I think you have a quite unique cooperation with the Dutch leagues and also the KNVB being involved. What do you see as the next steps and your plans for the future?
Yeah, so for us it's very important to stay connected to the performance side, because we believe, but we can argue, but we believe that the performance side is still leading. So if we can find a good solution for them, it's often, or in all cases, accepted by the media side, because that's something that will follow. What we would like to do is to make the data more available, and together with broadcasters like ESPN, but also with our partner TrakeUp, for instance, to get it really to the crowd and to the fan engagement, but via, I would say, the performance side.
So you mentioned TrakeUp a couple of times, so you cooperate with different types of providers. What do you see as next steps for that? Are there many others you want to integrate with, or how does that ecosystem kind of evolve?
Yeah, I think that's a strong part about SciSports. So we're very happy with a partner like TrakeUp, but we can do it. So it's highly dependent on what choice a league makes, right? So with which provider they go for. You see that the limb tracking is the next big thing, but also automated events. So without any hands creating those events. There are so many use cases. So what I see is that it will probably be a couple of great companies providing that data. And for us, there's a really good job in integrating it and bringing everything together.
Perfect. All right, I think that's it for our part, unless you want to add anything else, if there are any questions from the audience. Thank you. So then please give it up for Vincent for the first session. Then we move on to the second company we have a quite long history with already from KNVB side, but also numerous clubs from the Netherlands. And representing them is somebody who has a very experienced profile also in performance analytics, has done a PhD on this topic at the Free University of Amsterdam, as a broad career in Ajax, and now is active for Emotion and for Han University. So please welcome Tom Stevens.
Thank you, Giel.
So then I'll put the right logo on as well. That would be good. So Tom, Emotion, like I said, has a long history. I believe you have a background in tracking cattle and animals, which you maybe might not expect, but could you maybe tell something about the history of the company and how you developed coming into an important player in the football tracking?
Yeah, that's true what you said. Like it's developed from cow tracking actually. I think it's a small step from cows to tracking football players. Both are herd animals, I think. So no, but without kidding, it's yeah, it started I think in 2006. Then at the time at PSV, so Guus Hiddink was the coach, and Luc van Acht also both coached at the Dutch national team. So also a relationship with the KNVB. And they developed the system there. And at the time, I think we, well, yeah, I was not involved yet, but yeah, they were trying to bring like a detailed tracking system, develop it. And I think the LPS system or the LPM system was one of the first like highly accurate systems. I think from the start, yeah, we focused on highly accurate and transparent data. I think maybe we can go also to the next slide. So this is like an LPM system with the software. So at the time, the LPM system was like the focus, and we developed the software for the LPM system. And yeah, what you see is that then afterwards you also try to develop the software a bit more, because there come questions from the other clubs. I think first was the KNVB, then the PSV, then came the KNVB, Ajax, so several clubs also that were included. Yeah.
So you mentioned accuracy is a big KPI for you guys. How do you distinguish from other providers? What makes Emotio unique in this field?
Yeah, I think at the time was it the accuracy of the system. So I think that was yeah, unique. I think we now develop like in another direction. Yeah, so I think with the accuracy of the system, also I think the detailed analysis, so a rich database also based on questions of the clients and the customers, because we work like for the high-end customers, who I think at the time already had like multiple teams using it, also multiple systems, and that's I think also like explained if we yeah, continue a bit. So yeah, what you see is that the data, developing it with clubs like Ajax, PSV, KNVB, but also Brøndby from Denmark, that multiple tracking sources came into the software, or it was the question from the clubs, because the yeah, for example, the optical data at the time when I was working at Ajax, then we already had the optical data before the league deal. So they ask us, hey, can you implement it in the software? Because we don't like to have multiple software solutions, so just have it like into the EMO software. Yeah, then came the GPS and like IMU data, and yeah, that's I think how we then developed forward because of these questions from the customers. Yeah.
To make this a bit practical, and maybe for the people that are a bit less into these type of analytics, can you name some examples of metrics and things that are being used a lot by your clients?
Yeah, I think like some metrics like that all know. So we focus more on like compared to Sci Sports, who has more focus, I think, on the scouting and the match analysis. We focus more on training and the combination of training and match. Those are common metrics like accelerations, decelerations, distance covered, as most of you will know. But I think also with some metric we developed with the KNVB, for example, with David van Maurik, the sports scientist of the Dutch national team, is the maximum intensity period, and that's a metric that yeah, expresses the intensity of training based on the benchmark of the match, so the maximum match intensity. And I think those kind of metrics, that was at the time with Louis van Gaal, they use it for the, I think, yeah, already before the World Cup, but that was a nice example of developing with yeah, the organization, the KNVB, to have that like, yeah, make it useful on the pitch that they, yeah.
And what's interesting about your profile, that you're at a provider, but you're also on the scientific side, have been on the club side of things. What do you see as the right or the perfect process of those people collaborating, and something, an idea maybe from a coach or an analyst coming into the hardware and software, and finally landing back on the desk of a coach to do something with the information. How should that work? What did you experience?
Yeah, I think the advantage is that we are like close. We're really next to the office of the sports scientist of the KNVB. So I think the advantage of such an ecosystem is, and also the different roles and the combination is, that we can really talk it through. You have like enough time to just think out it, to also co-create. So and also test it on the pitch, because we're like have the test pitch is a pitch of the KNVB, so it's really like 100 meters from our office, so we can immediately see how things are working and bring the sports scientists in and develop from there onwards. Yeah.
So being close, talking a lot. So that's with the KNVB people. Then, of course, in the ecosystem, there are many other companies. Maybe the same question as I asked with SciSports. Like, how do you fit in this ecosystem, and how do you like to cooperate with other companies that are active in this field?
I think the next slides will also fit those a bit better. So I think what previous one I think good to mention is that so before we go to the ecosystem, I think with like the software, what we see now is that like I think we focus more on the software side, right? And I think with the ecosystem, what you see happening is that you get like a multitude of tracking providers, and also like the challenge that like for example the KNVB or Ajax had already before, like multiple teams and multiple tracking system. That's like a challenge that also smaller clubs or also already experience, because I think those tracking systems become more available. So you get like the IMUs, so player maker, footbar. So these kind of systems, these are also deliver data, but like I think nobody. I think they're still struggling with like efficiency of the data analysis. So that's something that I think with like the focus on the software, because we have the experience of like an Ajax and KNVB, that we can also use that for those clubs. We know the infrastructure that is needed, and that's something I think with new tracking systems that like are incorporated in the software can be used for that.
So bringing things together in the software side, and we showed already a little bit the ecosystem where you are working in, and many different companies that are connected to you. Can you share your thoughts on how the future will look around this, and how everyone will cooperate?
I think how we see it, like our role in the ecosystem. So, for example, the Emoji LPM system is still in our portfolio. We also have like GPS tracking, like the insiders. But what we see is like an open ecosystem, because I think the hardware, it's exchangeable. Like there are like improvements in hardware, and then maybe somebody brings in like a new hardware. But I think the difficult thing is to replace the infrastructure. And I think that takes like longer, and that's I think the reason also why, for example, clubs don't change hardware, because they have to change the whole infrastructure and the whole pipeline. So I think the role that we can do is like what we already do, for example, with Footbar, is that like another partner of the Innovation Hub, that we validated the system against our like accurate LPM system. We also developed in our software like a kind of a validation module that you can easily compare those kind of systems, so that like, also that saves time for clubs. But we can also help them develop. Another thing is that with, for example, USF Sports, that's like a company we just merged with. So that's also like within the ecosystem. You talk to each other, you team up. That provides us with like a wider target audience. So, for example, USF Sports has like a video platform for 500 clubs in the Netherlands for football and other sports. And yeah, they can. We have immediate access now to those clubs to see also like if performance analysis is. Yeah, I think it's the time also for them because they start asking for like the cheaper GPS systems. They want to work with those kind of data. So I think that's really interesting. We can combine the video from the platform and include it in our platform. So yeah, I think there are like cool things to happen.
Many great examples, and for us a great example of how you can evolve as one of the providers to an important player in the entire ecosystem. That's it for our part, Tom. Please give a warm applause to Tom.
You.
Thank you. And then we'll switch to the last of the three companies that we will have on stage, which is Vz Sports, and somebody who's joining us on stage was actually a former player of Eibar in Spain, and we just talked about Booking.com. You actually worked there as well, so you're an expert from the inside. Representing Vz Sports, please welcome Aziar. Aziar has a last name, but I don't dare to pronounce that one. So Aziar, welcome on stage. So Vz is one of the younger companies, let's say, in our ecosystem, relatively new to the market, but as you see on the back, already with some nice and interactive training systems. Can you introduce Vz Sports, what you do and what you offer to the football community?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the intro. I do come from a region called the Basque Country, if anyone's heard of it, where we have very weird surnames. So I do understand you wouldn't want to pronounce that one, but yeah, as you said, having played football, now enjoying football from a different perspective and enjoying it just as much. And briefly, what we do at Vz Sports is we develop technology to enhance player development on a technical level. We do it through what we call smart rebounders, and our value proposition really is a hybrid between hardware and software, where we provide the equipment that they can use to train their players and enhance that technical ability, whilst also offering them the software to maximize the use of that equipment and have access to all the rich content that they can find on the platform. So the whole goal is to enhance the player's technical ability and be able to measure it with the data that we collect also. So
also from KNVB experience, I know that types of technology like this were sometimes a bit, coaches were a bit hesitant to let them onto the field. So what have you experienced until now with introducing your product and coming to different clubs and associations?
Yeah, you're quite right. It does happen where different clubs have different methodologies where they can be more open or less open to value propositions like ours. I do always make sure to mention that we don't like to come into clubs and say, you've got to stop doing what you're doing and now you've got to use this to develop your players. Not at all. We actually talk about our product as something that can be of help to what they're currently doing by offering the players a tool that they can use aside from their regular training sessions to enhance their skills, which in the long run is only going to benefit any club. If your players are more capable, technically speaking, they'll be more capable of resolving situations in a game. So I would never like to be seen as, a company who comes in and says, stop doing your possessions or your short-sided games and now start doing this more and focus on the individual training. Not at all. But it is well known, obviously, of some players who have mentioned how when they were growing up, they would kick the ball against the wall. That's obviously not real football, but that doesn't mean it's not going to benefit you when you play a regular football match because you're technically more capable, so you can resolve situations in a game and, in the end, help your team score the goal or win the match. So it's kind of taking that, passing the ball against the wall to another level, and with the technology that we offer to the clubs, actually be able to measure the efficacy of the work the players are doing in actually being able to see if there's been any development on the players on the technical level.
So it's a good addition to the traditional team training, so to say. Somebody further away might think this is another rebounding or another tool on the pitch, but I'm sure you have a good story of what makes you different than other companies. So what distinguishes Voon Sports from other companies?
Yeah, from anyone looking from the outside, they can think just another interactive training tool. Far from it. As I said, a lot of the value we propose to clubs is on the software side, on the platform that we offer to coaches. The highest value they can find in the product is actually on the content that they will find on the app, as in different types of drills that we offer coaches. So for any coach setting up a technical session, they can scroll through the app, filter the drills by the amount of players or rebounders that they want to use for the certain session, and have access to a large range of drills that we offer on the platform. What makes us probably unique is we put as much value in the content as we do on the hardware. I mean, the hardware does need to be on point if you're going to sell it to some of the best clubs in the world. But on the software side, we continue to add more and more drills, some of which we've designed with top-level coaches in the Premier League or La Liga, which we upload to our platform for coaches at any level, anywhere in the world, to be able to enjoy with their own players. So I think that is the one component that would probably make us different, that we don't just supply a training equipment. We actually tell you how to maximize it with real, rich quality drills that we offer them.
Yeah, perfect. And we see some examples of the hardware and the software on screen as well. So you're in place at several clubs and locations, and we see it at our KNVB campus as well. What do you see as kind of the ultimate use for a coach of your equipment, and what effect does it have on the players? What do you see happening on the pitch?
The one thing everyone mentions is how they do see the value in how it's actually changing the players' mindset when it comes to doing technical drills. Now they push them to have a 360 vision, or with the cognitive activation that the product offers, they force players to look behind before they receive the ball, to position the body well, to control the ball to one side and pass it in 2 touches, or even the precision of the pass. And this is not only with academy players or young players. It's actually been La Liga clubs who have mentioned how it's actually impacted their players, and they've seen how when introducing something like this, they're actually seeing how the players have to put more attention in the pass, and taking care of those small details to deliver a quality pass in that case.
So, and at what club or association, or where did you see the best example of the use so far?
Yeah, the use of it really differs in the areas within a club that they use it. The product itself was conceived to be used mainly with younger players, for that technical development phase when they're more prone to mold the players and correct any weaknesses on a technical level. But it's actually been the clubs that have come back to us and said this is really useful for rehabilitation with full-on professionals, goalkeeper coaching, also at first team level. So some clubs are currently using it at first team level, some are using it at academy level, and the usage of it differs, as I said. Rehabilitation, it would be more the one-to-one coach doing the rehabilitation with the injured player, where they can actually check the data on a set drill of the player before injury, and now compare that with the data whilst they're coming back from injury. And with academy players, for example, with Real Sociedad, who are our local team, they use it, for example, to profile players the moment they get into the academy, to kind of get to learn more about the players the minute they step foot in the campus, and then use it to enhance, technical development with the younger ones. And then as they grow older in those individual development plans, they make sure that certain players who might need extra work on certain aspects, they do certain drills, and they will use it differently according to the needs of every player. So it's a very versatile product, and the ways it can be used or implemented in a club differ really depending on the area and the methodology of each club.
So you have developed a nice product which is running in different places. Also for you, how do you see the future of your company developing, and maybe also in general the adoption and integration of different training techniques at high-level clubs?
Yeah, our trajectory from the moment we were born has been, I should say, making technology more and more accessible to clubs of all level. Where when we were born back in the day, we could only really offer it to a very small number of clubs, which were elite clubs, because it was too expensive for smaller clubs. We've now launched this new product line about a year ago, with which we can get into clubs of all level, even private academies can afford something. And we want to take that even a step further, and towards next year launch a product for private users even. So for anywhere, any household where there's a kid who's crazy about football and they want to take ownership of their development, so to speak, they can buy something that they can use in the back garden, or even take it on holiday or use it in the park. So to make that technology that one extra step more democratized, and be able to offer it to any private user or any kid anywhere in the world, and also create a community of players worldwide where they can be competing against each other, or they can do a certain drill and see where they rank amongst all the players in the world that have been using the product. That's obviously a strategic project for us towards next year. And then being able to replicate what we do in football in other sports also. So as you'll see on the screen, we've got the Voon paddle version, which we're now starting to test. We took it to the Dutch Paddle Federation to start gathering that feedback. But the idea is to apply the same principles we do in football in, generally speaking, it will be on any sport where there's a ball, where we can replicate what we do in football and add value in different sports. So we'll see where that takes us, but obviously that's the route we want to go as a company, so we'll see.
So thanks already for the advice, for nice Christmas presents, maybe for my own boys already.
There you go.
Maybe last question, do you see any integration with other types of wearables or technologies, and how do you see the experience from the user side in the future?
Yeah, I myself, having played football, as you mentioned, I am very aware of the limitations of my product. Obviously, I believe in it 100%, but if I'm on the other side, on the club side, I'm looking at it as something that I can complement with other data. What Vincent and Tom have mentioned, their data can be easily combined with this to get to learn the player more, learn more about the player, I should say. So, for example, I can speak about the case with Real Sociedad, who is the club that we're closer to, and see what they do on a day-to-day basis. They actually use our product with other wearables at the same time to simultaneously measure if they get, for example, a 2.5 execution speed on a set drill with my product, how many touches has the player taken to do that, to kind of learn more about the technical weaknesses or strengths of each player. So, yeah, it's very interesting, and it's something that I've personally always been interested in kind of studying myself, if I could do that. Because my personal obsession is in understanding technical ability and what makes a player technically good, because it's something that's probably more subjective than objective to this day, but we try to make that as objective as possible with the data. But there are obviously other suppliers of data that would complement that. And from a club's point of view, we have seen, as I said, Sociedad, who are doing that at the moment. And yeah, other clubs obviously probably who use it for rehabilitation, they will use that probably with more physical wearables where they can measure the long distance runs and all of that stuff. So
perfect. Exciting times ahead, I think, for the future for players and coaches. So thank you, Azir, for this part. So please give a warm applause to Azir as well. And with that, we've come also to quite the end of this session. So I hope we could give you a good introduction to the innovation strategy of the KNVB and these three exciting companies. So thanks for being a good audience, and wish you a great day. Thanks.